Alright, so to make a game similar to Flappy Bird, or they're kind of classified as scrolling games, this is what you're going to do. So I have these directions here and I'll walk through them too, and I'll kind of show you quick in my finished one how it works, but then I'll walk through step by step how to make them. So there's really two characters, these green bars that glide across the screen, and then your helicopter or whatever you want to fly. And then here is the different code. If when you finish, if you want to try and add more to the game, I do have linked here is these direction pages how I made that picture. But these are like very, very basic tutorials. They're not even really tutorials. It's a program that kind of shows you how they set up scoring, and you can like see how they did it, and then see if you can figure out how to add it to yours, or if you want to do levels or a timer. If you want to kind of bring it to the next level, those are there for you. So here is my finished Flappy Bird. I did a rocket space theme for this one, so I have my rocket ship. I did have to shrink it down a lot, and I rotated it so it'd fly through the right way, and then my different gliding bars. So I have 4 different costumes that it rotates through randomly which one shows to determine like the gapping space. And then I have all of the code. So how it works, when I click the flag, it waits a little bit, but then slowly my rocket starts to drop, and when I click the space bar, it rises up, and then the bars start to show, and you have to try and make it through. If I hit a wall, the game ends, and it just kind of ends. So I'll walk through how I made this now. So I'm going to start with the new program. And I'll start with creating like the background and the characters first. So I'll do the same space themed one again. I kind of like that. So I have these stars background is what I use, but there's all different kinds. I do have to be kind of careful with the coloring. So like if you use Space City, you probably wouldn't want to do purple bars because there's a lot of purple already. It'd be hard to see. It might confuse the color and stop more. So I just did kind of a basic one. I'm going to get rid of the cat. So what I did for my rocket, I just typed in space because I wanted something that went along with it. And I chose this little rocket ship, which has lots of costumes. You could add that in there too. But as you can see, it's big. So I used this change size by, and I just did -10, and I just kept clicking until I thought it was a good size. If I went too far, I can just get rid of the negative and just do 10. I also rotated it so that it's like flying the right direction and not sideways. So I said turn 90 degrees and clicked on it. I'm going to keep the size block just in case I need to change it depending on how I make my gliding bars. So I'm going to add a new character sprite, but I'm going to go to the paint option. So you can paint any character gliding bars that you want in here. I zoomed out so I can see the whole screen. So this whiter box is like the screen that shows up, but things can go on the outside of it. Kind of when I'm zoomed in, I kind of miss things on the bottom. So I'll do a different color. I'll do red. So I just picked the color and the fill. I don't want an outline on mine, or else if I had like a black outline, then once the rocket, it would run into the wall a little bit more. So I just did this line right here that means no outline. So it's just the solid red. And then I'm gonna grab my square. And this little marking in the middle, that tells you where the center is. So I try and make mine right over the center. And you can make it as wide or as skinny as you want. And I make mine go past the edge a little bit. And then to make sure mine all stayed the same width, because I wanted that. If you don't have to either. I just copied and pasted. So I did Control-C, Control-V, and copy and pasted. And then it's the same exact width, and I can figure out how big I want that gap to be. So maybe that's my first one. So you could go in here and do paint again and kind of do it again. I find an easier step is to right click on this and then do duplicate. And then it's in that exact same spot, and maybe I want a hole in the top. And I need to extend that a little farther. So you can just create your different costumes here. You're going to probably want at least 3. The more you have, the more variety there will be in your game. I'll do one with 2 holes in it. And I don't know. Maybe one that's really wide open. We'll do that, sure. So I have 5 different costumes. So you'll just want to remember how many costume numbers you have. Oh, and that one's not even showing up. There we go. And you can check to see what it looks like over on the side screen. So mine doesn't look very even. Okay, so then I can also grab my rocket and make sure it fits in them. So it fits in one pretty good. Well, but it's probably going to end up switching your costume, your sprites around. 2, it fits in there. 3, that looks good. 4 looks good. And 5, okay. So I'm going to go back to my code now. And so my rocket's still a pretty good size. I'll just leave this purple block just in case I want to change it later. I don't have to go and find it. So first thing I'm going to do is control my sprite, my rocket, like how you do with Flappy Bird. And I'm going to make it when I hit the space bar that the rocket moves up. So I'm going to go to my events. And so in the space bar first, you can use any key you want. Or you could do when it's clicked, or I think there is any key, so as long as I hit something. I'm just gonna do spacebar. And then to make my rocket go up, I want to change the Y by 10. So right now, if I were to push the spacebar, I can see the rocket go up and down, or go up. If you find later that maybe it's not moving up fast enough, you can change this number to be like 20 or 15. You can kind of play with it. I'm going to try 20 and see how that goes. So that's going to make my rocket go up when I press the space bar. But part of like Flappy Bird is that it slowly drops as well. So I'm going to create that code, the set of code that does that. So when the flag is clicked, I want my rocket to also start at the very middle of the screen. So I'm going to make it go to 0, 0. So that very center point. So I can even click that and the rocket will go to that very center point. And I'm going to make it wait a couple of seconds. And then it's going to forever change the Y by a negative number. And I'm going to do kind of slow -2. The bigger number here, the faster it drops and the harder your game will be. So now if I click the flag, it moves there and then slowly it'll start to drop. So that looks good. So that's kind of our sprite moving through there. Another thing I'm going to add is that if it touches the red, that the game ends. So I'm going to add another event block. So when the flag is clicked, and then a forever, and an if then. So it'll keep repeating this if then block over and over again. If you don't have the forever there, it only runs that code once, which doesn't really help. We want it to run over and over again, and we want it to look for a certain color. So that's in sensing and touching color. So I could try and like get that exact same red, but that's going to be really hard because if it's not the exact same, it's not going to work. So there's this little eyedropper. So I'm going to click that button, and then when I bring my mouse over, it like shows me exactly what I want. So I want the red, and now it's that exact same red. So if it touches red, I want the game to stop. So that should be all of the code that we need for our rockets. Now we gotta make these bars move from right to left and glide across the screen. So we're gonna start with a flag block, and we're gonna make these hide at first. So it'll, like, if I just click that right now, they hide and go away. A show block would make them come back. So hide, and then I want it to forever repeat. It's going to wait a couple of seconds. We'll try 5. So this is going to determine how spaced apart your gliding bars are. So a smaller number means they're going to be really close to each other. A bigger number means they're going to be farther spaced. And then we're going to have it create a clone. So create a clone of myself. So what this will do, it makes a copy of itself. And we can have that copy choose a different costume. So when I start as a clone, we want it to switch to a costume. And we don't want it to be a specific one, we want it to be random. So the game is random. So switch costume to, and I'm going to go down to operators and choose pick random. And I remember I have 5 costumes, so I'm going to do 1 to 5. So it'll randomly pick what costume comes up next. And then we want those bars to start all the way on the right side of the screen. So we want them to go to 240, 0. So this sets it to the very far right of the screen. And then we want it to show, because right now it's still hidden. So then it'll show, so it'll appear again. And then we want it to slowly glide across to the left side of the screen. So I'm going to grab a glide block. And we want this to be negative 240. And this number here for glide is how fast those bars move. So I'm going to start with 8 and see how that goes. But you can always change that number too. So you can kind of determine how hard or how easy you want this game to be. So that should be it. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'll run into a wall here and it ends. So maybe you don't like that it waits so long before it appears, maybe like 3 seconds. So there's less of a wait time before those first bars appear. So that is a really simple Flappy Bird game. So make sure in your project page you tell them how to play. So what key, or is it any key or a space bar, or the M key, whatever you want or whatever you made it to be. And then you can click share to turn it in.